Is this where they sell the dubsteps? Maybe they have a pair of Skrillex. Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to this episode of Studio Time. And what I have here is the copy of the software Dance for EJ, which is basically the first DAW, if you can call it one, that I started playing with when I was younger. And I just wanted to show it to you real quick because I found the CD in my room. And you basically just had this arrangement window and these nicely sorted sample library down here, full of gorgeous sounds like... That's some rad sounds right there. And they even had some rap vocals, which totally make you cringe.
Move something! Move something! You got it, you got it, you got it. Too high to get over, too low to get under, too high to get over, too low to get under.
Oh my god, this is so bad. But however, you just like take these samples up here and arrange them and add some of these and add some of the others over here because they're all in the same key. You don't have to think about what you're doing, just put them there. And then you press play and it sounds like this. And I want to show you another thing, and that is this audio recorder I recently got myself to record samples and sounds of the city and outside, and samples everywhere. Samples. Everything can be a sample. And I'll make another video about how you can use these samples for your electronic productions. And but for now I want to show you the most entertaining feature of this device, and that is turning the microphone sensitivity all the way up, so really silent noises get super loud. And let me show you. So, enough of that, let's get to the wop-wops. A lot of people ask me to talk about the general layout of a drop, so I made this little bit here and want to talk a bit about it, and if we have time I can show you how I made some of these sounds. So... So this sounds a lot like Must Die and Zomboy, I know, but it's just for demonstrational purposes today, so that's fine. First of all, the drums. They're quite easy, just playing the standard dubstep drum loop, you know, a kick and a snare, doing their thing. And I also added some crashes and offbeat open hi-hats to fill things up. And here you can see the hi-hats. I shuffled them a little bit, so I think this gets things a little bit more grooving and makes the loop less boring. This section here is not shuffled. And this over here is shuffled. Sounds a lot cooler, so we will just copy this over there real quick. Da-da-da-da. So, and then I have some crashes here and some open hi-hats, so altogether the drums sound like this. Yeah, so That is set up, so how to start with a drop. I recommend looking at other tracks for this matter. Of course, everyone should innovate and try something new, but if you struggle with starting off your drop, take a look at what others do. A lot of famous tracks start their drops with a single long bass hit or two of them. Examples for this are First of the Year, Scary Monsters, Bonfire, and Excision's Bounce and tracks like that. The long bass note is often modulated and has a pitch fall in it, or the bass sound plays two different notes like in Bounce. I've chosen something in between and made two bass hits, both with pitch modulation. So that's how we start off. And the next sound sounds a lot like Must Die, to be honest, but the general sound design doesn't matter right now. The important thing is the layout. So the second sound plays a longer rhythmical line that is kind of the catchphrase of the drop. It goes on till the end of the second bar, and then the whole thing repeats. And at the end of the repetition there should be a variation though. Either the second sound playing some different notes or a new sound coming in. As you can see here, I made a new sound. But we can also try out the other thing real quick. So I'll just mute this here and expand this because I've already prepared this a little bit. So now this goes like this. This sounds good as well. We could copy the first two bars behind this again and then do a fill on the last two bars or continue with a different sound like I did. Again, on the one, there's this bass hit over here. And then we have this mess going on over here. So in this part you can generally do whatever you want, bring in new sounds, do some crazy things. But an important aspect is how you end this part. You can put melodic chords on the last two bars, like in Scary Monsters, or a drum fill on the last bar. I did the drum fill thing, and yes, it is a Vengeance loop, I know. No, not that one. That one over here. It's a Vengeance loop, try to avoid them whenever you can, but for this tutorial it works just fine. The general idea is to create tension for the first bar of the drop again, because normally you want to repeat your 8 bars after this, so put in a noise rise and take away the main drums and also the sub bass. They all stop playing over here, and we have these noise risers down here, which and kind of create tension for the next big bass hit. This drum loop is also very lo-fi, so in this bar we have no very high frequencies and also no bass playing. This creates a nice contrast to the fat basses that we'll play again after this. This is actually a very helpful thing. By reducing your frequency range from the top and the bottom, you make the general sound quite weak, but if we have something huge right after that, then that's exactly what we want. You can also use this trick for the rise part right before the drop. Try to play no sub bass, and if you bring in the kick drum, reduce its bass until the drop hits. In some other tracks you can also hear that a breakbeat like this one here has been used in the rise before the drop. That's the exact same effect. You have a trashy mixed drum set that still sounds cool and creates tension, plays faster and faster, and then the drop hits with its full frequency range and blows the listener away. Yay! Now, to make the drop sound a little bit fuller, I like to add some noise layers. I heard this in a lot of Zomboy and Skrillex tracks. There is white noise or the sound of a stadium crowd cheering in the background. And another often used way is to add a high arpeggiator that plays a simple chord in the main key all the time. So here I have also a Vengeance loop, the stadium noises, which are just very quiet in the back. And here's the arpeggiator. And I've even heard a tiny detuned saw, like this one over here. It just plays really silent in the background. It just plays the root key of the song, and I heard something like that in another Zomboy track. just playing this note all the time to generate a harmonic noise in the background. So this kind of glues everything together. I can play this without the noise layers. And with noise layers. So that's it. Of course, this isn't the one true formula. It depends a lot on the style of dubstep that you want to make, especially if it's chord and melody heavy. This here won't work for 7 Lines track, but I can also make a tutorial for one of those if you guys are interested. Explaining all the sounds of this in detail would take far too long, but there is one particular sound I would like to talk about a bit, and that is this one over here. Or these two, because both of them use the same method to create their screechiness, and both of these sounds are made in Harmor. And I love this VST, one of the main reasons for me to stay with Windows as my operating system. And the sound is basically just a square and a phaser, so nothing too complex. So let's build it from scratch in this Harmor instance over here. So I will just make a default sound. So that's our default sound. And first we choose a square. Then we make it big by adding a lot of voices. And then we use the phaser by turning the mix all the way up and choose a cool phaser algorithm. I like deep or deeper. Box is cool as well. Then we deactivate the movement by turning this to 0 and change the mode to harmonics. And if we now move the width here, you can already hear that this does crazy things. And then we just edit the articulator of this width thing over here. And then we write a cool envelope. Something like that. This is quite nice. You can also move this offset knob to just find a cool position. And in the effects section, we can add some chorus and some log distortion. Oh, that's a little bit much. Yeah, something like that. And you can get a roughneck bass feeling if you add the tremolo over here. And then we make a high screech of this. And changing the position of this pitch fader over here has a dramatic influence on the sound. Because it's responsible for the detune of the sound, and as we make the detune stronger, sound gets quite fat. And if you take this lower, the screeching gets way stronger, so you have to find a cool position for this to have strong screech and also the detune fat. Oh, that is nice. And ta-da! You have an interesting sound. This also works with a lot of different of these algorithms. Pretty much every algorithm does something cool over here. So that's the sound, and then you just play short notes like. Oh, these are a little bit very short, so we have to make our automation faster. Pretty much every position of this width knob here is just nice. Yes, so that is that. And you can post-process this sound a little bit with some distortion, with the free Camel Crusher, and maybe EQ it a little bit. I took away all the sub-bass and added some high frequencies here, and I make the sub-bass with a separate VST. I just use Massive for this with just a sine wave. So this plays the same notes as Harmor, and then you have a separate sub-bass, which makes things way easier to mix. Yeah, that's it. And this other sound over here is just the exact same thing with different automation, and there's also a small filter cutoff over here. But it's all the same settings over here. Whew, this video is getting really long again. But one more thing and then we are through for today. The last thing I want to talk about is vocal choppings, because a lot of you guys requested it. And I think the best example to show vocal choppings on is my track Paper Planes, because we have these two parts, one over here. And this part over here. And both vocal choppings are done with a different method. So in this first part I just took different audio samples, different ad-lib samples, vocal acapellas, and imported them and just cut it out, a small piece of them, like a part where the singer is holding a note, and then pitched it into place and arranged it in a certain rhythm. There are even a lot of effects on this. But after that, I think I found a better method to do this, because this is very tiring sometimes. And in this part down here, what I did is, instead of just importing the single files and moving them around, I made a battery patch and collected the samples here. So as you can see, these are all just excerpts of really long acapellas. Like this is "What doesn't kill makes you stronger, a little tall," and stuff like that. And then I pitched them all in key with the pitching tool here in Battery. And then I just, to be honest, I just randomly clicked notes here because they were all in key, because I pitched them already. And then just clicked a rhythm, and then just this came out. There you have it. These are my two methods on vocal choppings. So, thank you for watching. I hope this wasn't too much at once, but I've always got so much to talk about, and this is really fun for me, and I hope it's the same for you. If this is too long or too much, please tell me in the comments. I already thought about making more recent, shorter videos on only one topic at a time. Maybe that is less tiring, because like my girlfriend says, I like your music, but when I look at what you're doing in Cubase all the time, it just looks like boring math to me, and I don't want this to be boring math for you. And again, if you have suggestions or requests for the next episode, please post them in the comments section and I will read them all and try to improve this series as much as possible. So, have a nice day and goodbye!